This is Aaron Levine, LG Insurance Agency, here rolling with another episode of the Who You Work With Matters podcast. I've got my good friend, Michael Gruosso, the Gruosso Group at Keller Williams Real Estate, joining me today. Mike is a dynamic realtor. He's a seasoned professional, super important in this real estate game, but he's also built himself a very cool team that includes family and non-family, which I love talking about family dynamic and talking about the who's in your lives. Family is obviously very important, but the professional life, also family, totally important. And, you know, we're talking about family, and Keller Williams is big on, you know, you do your, what's the big event that?
Family reunion.
Family reunion. There you go, right? Those are the who's in your lives, people that you can rely on around the country,
right,
if you need resources. So really cool business model at KW in competition with all these other technology models. So I'd love to dive into, you know, a little bit about that, but really like to, you know, understand who you work with, right? Who do you rely on? Because there's a lot of people involved in a real estate transaction.
There sure is.
Some of them are good. Some of them are not so good. You know,
and I think this whole thing that's going on with the NAR, the lawsuit that I don't know, a lot of people have talked about.
Let's not even go there.
Yeah, we won't. But a lot of there is a lot of inexperienced people out there, or unprofessional, one of the two.
So, do you think there's going to be, with this whole lawsuit and the change in the commission dynamic that's soon to be coming down the pipe, that there's going to be a shift in professionalism or a shift in the amount of agents in the state of New Jersey?
Both.
Okay.
I think it's going to shift to the professionals and the amount of agents. We're already seeing a drastic decline from the beginning of COVID to where we're at now. I mean, it's easily come down 30%.
Well, there's no more low-hanging fruit.
No low-hanging fruit. And you do have to be experienced. I think, you know, someone who's going to hire you wants to make sure that on the list side that they're going to get the highest and best price, make the process as seamless.
Right.
And on the purchase side, that they're educated and properly and negotiating properly on the home that they want to get. They don't want to lose it. So that's.
I mean, I'm guilty. I had my real estate license for many years.
Did you?
And in 2008, I said, screw this. I don't want to do real estate anymore. I hated residential. So I was trying to get bigger and to do more commercial stuff, but I also hated cold calling. So I was really bad at it. And then the whole financial crisis made me pivot, and I'm like, all right, what are we going to do next? And, you know, insurance is recession proof. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good enough. I can go sell a commodity, right? I'm not even going to go into the commodity versus how I operate today yet. But, you know, that's kind of when I shifted into insurance full time. And then I kept my real estate license for another 7 or 8 years. And then I eventually said, you know what, I'm letting it lapse because I want to use the right people, and I don't need the money anymore from my personal real estate transactions.
Right.
That I want to just hire the right people and let them earn and pay the right people to do things. And that's what I do all the time.
Yeah.
I rely on everybody, on so many people to do so many different things. Again, that's why we're in this studio, because I rely on James and his team to make us look good and sound good, so we can put out a good product, you know? So it's kind of cool. So what made you decide to get into the real estate game?
What made me get into it? It was something I really always wanted to get into, but I was always talked out of it for years.
Okay.
One of my best friend's mother was a top producing agent, and they always had all the nice things, and I'd say, hey, I want to become a realtor, and she'd always talk me out of it. It's a tough business, emotionally. Consumers are difficult. It's you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. And I would do other things. I was in insurance. I used to be an Allstate insurance agent. I was in
insurance sucks.
I was let's see. I've always been in some kind of sales. My family's background is construction, plumbing. So I know a lot about homes and renovation, construction, both residential and commercial. And then I went to school, still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I didn't like the being at the office all the time. Finance is my background, right? I definitely didn't want to do corporate finance. And then the whole stock market, equity market, it just wasn't for me.
Right.
So real estate kind of really complemented my personality. So that was 19 years ago was when I got into real estate.
Okay. Now, your wife is also in real estate,
Yeah.
and your son is also in real estate. So you
Right.
never get away from, like, what do you talk about when you're on vacation together, or sitting down for dinner?
Yeah, we
Well,
try
you
not.
don't have to answer that, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, we try not to talk about real estate. But the good thing about both of us being in real estate is it's expected when we're on vacation. Whether I'm in Italy, I was just in California. One of us has got to take the call. If the call comes in and it's something that you're working on, you have to take the call or the
Right.
text or make the email. So as much as I have a full-time administrator, my wife has a secretary, the client wants to talk to you, and if it's something that is impeding, you have to get on the phone. And I know that you're
Right.
like that too. If I need something, and I know you've come through for me on last minute deals on a complex commercial deals,
that last one
I
was
could
an
get you on the
interesting one.
phone, and I think we had that industrial building in like a day, right? You're like, Mike, I could bound this today.
It took some work, but that's my availability, right? That's also my downfall is I sometimes don't shut it off.
Yeah.
I was just away, and it was my birthday. We were away, and
Hey, happy birthday.
thank you. And I was still working on a deal, trying to help somebody get something done.
Right.
And then so we're driving north to the Grand Canyon, and I'm on phone calls while the kids are sleeping in the back seat, and it's just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, well, I want to get this stuff done while we're in the car.
Yeah.
So when we get there, then I can properly shut it off.
Right.
Like, I still need my time. I can't. One of these days I will fully shut it off. But I like being able to help. And being one of the quote unquote who's in your life that you can rely on, and you're like, oh, Aaron's on vacation again. I want to go on a lot of vacations.
Right.
To go on a lot of vacations, you got to be able to pick up your phone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
there's
And that's
not-
one thing that we try to do too. We try to go on vacation a lot, but we are both going to pick up the phone. My wife does understand at
Right.
Disney. Hold on a second. You guys go on this ride, and let me I got to
There's-
take this call.
there's
We
way
take
more
turns.
social media memes and jokes about realtors taking phone calls, on vacation.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
not as many about us insurance guys, but we take the phone call just as much. But there's a lot more funny stuff, I guess, on the internet about realtors and your non-day to day, right?
Yeah.
Because every day is kind of a little bit different, even though it's the same.
Right.
It's not as it's less structured. Even though if you broke it down, you would find structure within that chaos.
You're right. That's
It
exactly.
would be pretty interesting. But sticking to the theme, right, on the who's, going back to just in real estate in general, as other professionals that you work with, like, who do you rely on as maybe a mentor, or who are you a mentor for, right? Who are you helping? Who's helping you? Talk about some of those relationships. You don't have to give names, but
Yeah.
I love learning about those relationships between people that are helping you, plus those that you're able to help and mentor and bring up at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
So I mentor a few agents in my office. I'm the broker of record, but I don't do the day-to-day management.
Right.
So there are newer agents that I will mentor if I feel like they have that fire in them and they really want to get successful and they want to learn. I will mentor them on a listing sale or on the buyer's side and
Right.
show them the ropes. My son is on my team. He is my son is 21 years old, but I'm his mentor, but he's my mentor in a lot of ways as well.
that. That's awesome.
All this technology, all of the social media stuff. I mean, he got me started on that when he was like 15 years old. He's like,
Right.
Dad, you got to do this and you got to do that online. And I was doing it, but very, very limited.
Right.
So in a lot of ways, he and Jaden on my team. So Luca's my son. Jaden's on my team. We have two other agents, Eileen and Heather, and a full-time administrator. That makes up our team. I'm not trying to be the biggest team. I want to
Right.
be the SEAL Team 6. Like let's get this done.
Strong and lean.
Yeah, so I do enjoy. I was always a coach. My son coached his soccer team 10 years, and they made it to the Nationals and won the Nationals in 2016. So I do love I love the coaching aspect of
Right.
it, of things, and just passing on what I've learned. And I do absorb. I go to I have coaches, personal coaches, business coaches. So constantly, I think what I love too is I'm constantly learning.
So you're very coachable.
Yes.
Is your son coachable too?
Oh yes, absolutely, 100%.
So that's the family dynamic that works well, because you're both coachable, and you're able to give and receive feedback
Absolutely.
on both sides of it.
And I take constructive criticism very well. Like, he's way better on camera than I ever was. I never wanted to be on camera, but he coaches me on what to say and how to say it and the voice and, looking into the camera and, not looking at the script and things like that. So we're constantly
if I have a script, and we've done that in here, where we've taken that big monitor and put a script up, I am terrible.
Me
right?
too.
If I'm not ad-lib, if I'm not just making it up and spitballing and freestyling, I'm god awful when it comes to it, right? And I've watched a bunch of your videos because your social media presence is very good, very professional, right? It's not very, it's not cheeky like some others that that are out there, and I see it, and it's visible, and I think it's important because that's your image that you want to portray, right?
Right.
You want to be the expert, you want to be the team leader, and those are the people that you're going to attract.
Right.
Other agents that are doing more cheeky and funny videos are going to attract a different type of consumer or a different type of seller.
Right.
And that's okay too. We're all going to attract who we want to attract. And that's kind of why I do this podcast is I like to have these conversations. And I always say when I have a lawyer in that seat, this is the best way to get free legal advice.
Yeah.
Right. Or an accountant, somebody that charges a lot of money by the hour, you put them in that seat for free, and you get all the legal advice you want. Like, I just saved $1,000 right now, so, I learned so much having these conversations that I think it's, I think it's super important, so everybody that sits in that seat is ultimately a who in my life in some way, shape or form. And I love celebrating and relying on the right people for the right task, when it comes to being able to hopefully refer business, or just be able to help out in a pinch if something's going wrong and know the right person to call. And that's why I do a lot of networking and, I'm around people all the time, good, bad, indifferent, ugly sometimes, it is what it is. But, we went off tangent, but, putting your presence out there and doing the video work, it's not easy.
It's not.
It's very difficult. But if you have somebody on your team that makes it easy for you, it's Mike, go here. I'm going to point the camera at you, talk about this, or we're going to this property. We're going to talk about this. Like, let's do it. Or, you're interviewing, some other professionals around different aspects of the transaction, could all be very good. And it's you get to show up and you get to do your job and you have the right people around you to make you look good. Then, then you're being successsul.
Right. And people that you can trust too. Like, I trust my son. So far, everyone on the team I do trust.
Right.
Our business is a lot of it is ego driven. So you can bring someone on and start to train them, show them everything, pour everything into them. And then within 6 months, they feel like they can do it on their own.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, it's not, I'm happy for them. Do it on your own, be successful.
Sure.
But I wouldn't have spent all that time with that individual doing that. With the people that I have right now, I do trust them. I feel like it's give and take. It's a little bit of both, and that's the way it needs to be.
I'm a big fan of the team model. I couldn't sit here if I didn't have a team behind me answering the phones and handling service items and, people calling in and doing what they're doing. Even in your space, the team model is so much better because then you're just not on an island by yourself. That's why I love, people that have teams in good offices that work together. I think, even if you're not on a team, you have to have other agents that you can rely on that can back you up and work with you, just like doctors do.
Yeah, and boost you up because you have to be at the top of your game all the time. You can't, as soon as you start getting down or like, oh, the market is bad, or there's no negativity allowed in my office at all. I don't want to hear the word stress. We never use the word stress. We're challenged, but we're not stressed because that word alone, think about it, it's the number one killer. I don't like hearing it. As soon as I hear people starting to talk negative, I'll try to turn the conversation. Look at the positive. There's always a positive, silver lining in almost anything, and that's what you got to focus on, and not focus on what's difficult.
It's funny. I hate the word busy, because we're all busy. And when somebody tells me they're busy, I'm like, okay, you have something more important than what I want to do.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you're telling me. And
Right.
whether it's true or false, I'm like, I just hate when people say the busy word. I'm like, yeah, we're all fucking busy.
Yeah, right.
I don't care if you're busy.
Right.
You know, I want to know if you have time for this.
Yeah, right.
That we want to work on. Are you creating an opportunity? Are we creating time? Because that's all we can do is we have our time and we can choose how to use it. Otherwise, we're all busy. You know, I don't know many people that are sitting on the couch all day.
Or on an island just having cocktails all day, every day. Like even if I could do it, I still wouldn't do it.
You know, that's why I say, like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to retire, because I don't know what I'm going to do next. Yes, I like to play golf, and that does take up time in my calendar. And you know, now that we're getting into season, I want to spend more time playing golf. But I'm also playing with good people.
Right.
Right. I'm playing with the who's in my life that boost me up, like you said, and that, you know, help me, and then I can bounce ideas off of, like, and get me out of, you know, some of the day to day. Like, that's an important aspect of what I do. My networking and my people is on the golf course.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know where I'd be. I'd be stuck in the office, you know, trying to buy internet leads, and I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, right.
So one of the things I put on the list, you know, is books. I love talking about books. And you pulled out your iPhone a little while ago, and you looked at your Audible. So what book are you reading right now?
I mean, I just started reading the book. The Splitting the Difference.
Never Split the Difference.
Never
Chris
Split
Voss.
Yes, I just started that.
The tactical negotiation. Negotiate like a hostage.
Yes.
The hostage negotiation tactics. Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So I read that one a couple of years ago. I should reread it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I just started that.
So the Black Swan, his group, the Black Swan group, I actually was at a workshop where one of his co-authors to the next book, so the second book in that series, Ego, Authority, Failure, by Derek Gaunt. Derek is one of the coaches in the Black Swan group and was a hostage negotiator. So hearing real life stories of hostage negotiation is you know,
that's exciting in itself.
Stuff.
Right.
It's wild. So really, really good book on learning those tactics, deploying them. Whole nother world.
Yeah.
The book is a great gateway to get you to spend $2,500 to go to a seminar. I haven't done it yet, but I want to go to their 1 or 2 day
interesting
seminar
Yeah.
at some point. So when you finish the book, you let me know, and maybe we're going to wind
Maybe
up
we'll go
traveling together.
That'd be a great idea. Yeah.
To go learn something really good. So give me another book.
Yeah, another recent book that we've finished reading, and I try to come up with things for the team that we all read together. We go over on a weekly basis. We break up the chapters. Just give us a quick synopsis on each chapter. To keep everyone, our business, you have to stay positive. So The Power of One More by Ed Milet.
Okay.
He was at Family Reunion last year, not this year. This year was Tony Robbins last year. And, you know, he was great on stage, man. He was so inspiring and so positive. And he came from a background where he really didn't have anything. He was married, broke, and took it to a business. I think he was in the financial services business and sold the business for like $500 million. And now he's a motivational speaker.
Right.
And The Power of One More just basically talks about just making that one more call. You know, trying to get that one more appointment before you leave the office.
I love that.
If you're working out, that one more set, you know, that one more rep, you know, just pushing it.
Right.
And he relates it to his father, and he talks about it in his book. His father was an alcoholic, severe alcoholic, and he would always try to quit alcoholism, but always would backslide and start drinking again. And he said at one time, it was the last time his father really drank heavy, and his father said, "Listen, I'm going to quit. You know, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to quit." And his son Ed, "Hey, you really think you're going to do this?" He's like, "I don't know, but I'm going to try it one more time. One more time, I'm going to try." And he did. He quit up until he passed away, and it was like a 15, 20 year period that he didn't drink. But it was just pushing yourself that one more to get yourself. And it was
awesome.
Last year was a big transition in our business already because of the limited inventory. So to keep everyone upbeat and really push themselves a little further, because everyone except the administrator everyone is commission-based only
Sure.
in our business. So to keep everyone upbeat, Monday morning we come in, it's showtime. I'm doing things differently when I come into the office, not having all these problems in my head, but coming in and just really ready to ready to go to work. It's showtime, and I come in with a smile on my face, positive. Whoever's in there first has to turn the music on. Like, we want to come out like Tony Robbins, start every day like that.
That's awesome.
And that's all it takes.
Mondays are my favorite day of the week, right? Ask anybody, like, it's Monday. If you show up late, it better not be on a Monday. Like, this is the time to start the week off right, and on that right foot and on a positive note. Like, I love the way that you say that for your start your Mondays, but realtors work all weekend, so you guys, you got to take a day somewhere in between. But I like it that the one more thing, that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
If someone says that they're stressed, they have too much work, all right, just do one more. Right?
Yeah.
Just
do one more.
You do that one more thing, you get one more thing off your list for tomorrow, you're going to be in a better place every single day, right? It's that power of the 1%, right? Power of, you compound, do 1% more every day. You get better by 1% every day, and it's going to compound. Don't try to get better by 10%.
Correct.
Try to just do a little bit.
A little bit more.
Do a little bit more. Makes me think of one of my books, and I'm going to make you read this one. So, Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy, right? Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, big coaching outfit. There's a lot of books in this, but there's 3 in this series. One is the book called Who Not How, right? That's the first one that I read. Actually, the first one I read was 10X is easier than 2X. It's about 10Xing your business, and it's not the 10X Grant Cardone style.
Yeah, right.
Be the alpha and screw everybody else. It's, it's how to make yourself 10X better, and a lot of it is relying on other people. Second book in the series is Who Not How, and partially inspired this podcast, right? Who you work with matters is a hashtag that I've been using for 5 or more years, right? It's always been something like the professionals around you, people on your team. It's always been about the who's, but I never had the right definition around it until I read these books. Then you read Who Not How, and you're like, oh, it's all about the who's in your life. And then the third book in the series that I loved was Gap in the Gain. And the gap in the gain, the way they describe it in very, very simple terms, is have 3 wins every day.
Yes.
Right? You're like, all right, what are my 3 wins? Well, one of my wins was shooting this podcast with you
right
now. That's a win.
Yeah, that's me too.
It doesn't have to be you don't have to sell something, but it's something that I can take at the end of this day and say, okay, my wins today were, I had my whole team we have a new CRM that we've been working with, and everybody was on. We were working on a pipeline today on the CRM. That's a win.
Yeah.
Not a sale. We didn't sell something. We did sell stuff. Those are wins also. But, this conversation is a win. So really breaking it down into very small terms of what are your 3 wins, I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then it goes, part 2 is write down what are your 3 wins going to be tomorrow? So you've already planned your day out. You know what you're going to do. Right? It's not the 27 things on your calendar. It's what are the 3 wins, because those are the important things to make sure you get done with. You know? And Dan Sullivan, when he talks about it, he's a little bit more stately, and so he really does his 3 wins for the day, and then he's done. But you and I have more things to do, but sometimes it's only 3.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're like, well, I don't know what I did today, but I didn't sit on the couch all day. So spending time with my kids is a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So being able to celebrate, those things, and then the who not how, celebrating the people that help you get to where you need to be.
Right.
Is super important. Back to the real estate transaction, without an attorney, without a title agent, without an insurance agent, without a home inspector,
mortgage broker,
without a mortgage broker, right? There's 7 people that touch every transaction. There's more than 7 people touching every single transaction.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people to rely on.
On each, our economy is significantly impacted by real estate. On every real estate transactions, there are 30 to 50 jobs created.
30 to 50 jobs.
Every house sold. If you think about it, the township inspector is already there.
Right.
But you got all the people you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Then there's contractors, painters. There's landscapers. There's other things that will get employed by every time a home is sold.
Right.
So yeah, the who, what, I'm starting
Who,
to.
not how. Yeah.
Who, not how. I'm starting to do more of that also. Put the right people, and I'm very loyal. So once I have that good experience, like with you,
Right.
I recommend you, whether it's industrial or residential. You're actually in services we recommend.
Oh, nice.
I've changed that list many times with inspectors, attorneys. If I see that they're not up to what I feel they should be working at level-wise, or they're not responding or whatever, I take them off the list. The contractors, same thing.
Right.
I start to work with them. I use them personally. If I see that they're good, then I could recommend them. But as soon as they're not answering or things just don't flow anymore with them, then I take them off the list.
Right.
And I've done that many times. But I'm very loyal. Until there's a reason for me not to trust someone or feel comfortable with them, I continue to work with them.
Yeah,
you know?
and listen, that makes sense, and it goes the same way. You know, I'm going to trust people over and over again, and hope to continue to be trusted, and that's why I operate in the way that my business operates. Give me something else. Give me some advice for budding entrepreneurs in the real estate space. Right.
Budding entrepreneurs, yeah. You want some advice on?
Give me some advice.
I would say that anyone
this is being that mentor. This is being that who for somebody else right now. So
I would say anyone that's coming into this business and wants to be a professional in this business, you have to look at it as it not being an easy business. It's a simple business if we do everything properly.
Sure. It's
simple. If you come into it thinking it's easy and you're just going to make maybe 1 or 2 calls a week, this is not the business for you. I've made, I don't want to say 1 million calls, but a couple 100,000, definitely, easily.
Right.
And I've gotten probably out of the couple 100,000, easily a couple 100,000 of no's.
Right.
People rejecting me over and over and over again. So you need to be able to take rejection pretty good.
That's the hardest thing to learn.
It is.
That's and then it's the make that one more call.
Yeah, and make that one more call. Go right back into it. Is very important. One thing that we also focus on is if you do make a good rapport or conversation on the phone, it's not just hang up, okay, let me pack my stuff up and leave. This is a time to make that one more call because now you're excited. You got the appointment.
Good.
You're feeling pretty good. You have that energy.
Right.
And I would say that you have to go right back into it. And that's what I do. If I get an appointment, I'm like, okay, now I'm hot. It's kind of like being at the blackjack table. You don't walk away from the table after you just hit blackjack, right? Yeah, I'm wrapping it up.
I love
no,
that.
you keep hitting until you lose.
You should, but
well, there's time. But when you're hot and you have that energy, that's what you have to keep going.
Can't wait till my wife is telling me, stop playing cards. Just one more. Mike said one more hand. Just one more.
Just one more.
Just one more. Just keep going until you go broke. So maybe not in that situation.
And the other thing too, I think is it's in the beginning, like you do have to put a lot of time into it. Just like any entrepreneur, you're going to get into it. This business, my business, is very inexpensive to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
$1,000, you get your license, your insurance, you're in business.
Pass your 40 hours in your test, and you're good to go.
You're good to go. But if you just look at it like that, there's a high failure rate in our business. First 3 years, 85 to 90% will. This is not for me.
Right.
So the ones that do excel are the ones that are putting a lot of the time in, setting up all of their paperwork to make sure, or their marketing materials, make sure that it looks professional. They're setting time blocking for their telephone calls. They are doing the average. People don't realize this, that it takes 12 contacts with a prospect, 12, to get invited in to present in front of them.
That's
to
hard.
Possibly work for them.
That's a lot of follow up.
Yeah, a lot of follow up. So we just we had an office meeting yesterday, and our team leader said, "Mike, what was the last listing appointment? Where did you get them from?" And I think about or the last listing that you got. It's not even live yet, but I looked when I went to the last appointment that they actually signed. I met them in 2015.
Wow.
And since 2015, they've received something from me in the mail every month for 9 years. Right? 9 years, something in the mail.
Wow.
They've received something email from me.
Right.
If they're not on social media, but if they were on social media, somehow I would have made contact with them there.
Right.
I've made I've been at their home several times to present. Now, they weren't ready, so
Right.
I got pushed
Right.
pushed
Yep.
off. But somewhere along the lines, I know that they were interviewing multiple agents. And he
Okay.
said to me, towards the end of this, I was really the only one that was continuing to follow up. I kept him on that mail thing, and I
Yep.
would check in with him. I would go, hey, let me just check in with you. What are you thinking about? Is it this year, next year? I always tell people, I'll probably still be doing this for at least another 10 to 20 years, probably. It's not my schedule. Whenever you're ready. You're not ready now? Okay, I'll call you back next year.
Right.
Yeah, call me back next year. I did that for 9 years.
Wow.
And then finally got it. It's a $2.1 million listing. You know, when I look back at the cost of putting in even the time of calling and talking to
Sure.
them, you know, maybe a few $100s. That's
Right.
it. For something that I could potentially make, you know, what is it, 80,000 in commission, 90,000 in commission.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it kind of plays itself off. Now that's just one person.
Right.
There's hundreds of people that I do that with on a
Right.
daily basis.
Yeah, listen, it's about being ready, being there when somebody else is ready. And I hear that about our industry too, about the insurance industry, you know, and a risk manager that I work with actually said this to me. She's like, Aaron, you're great. And we've met a lot of great brokers along the way. But the one thing they forget to do is keep following up.
Yeah.
I said, you know what, Patty? You're right.
Yep.
I said, that makes a lot of sense. We call once, we call twice. You know, if we don't win the first time, a lot of times we go away.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting that life cycle automation in place and using the automation to your benefit, whether it's
Right.
the postcards, you know, whatever mailer you're using, and just be there because something will go wrong or some event will occur
Right.
where they're then ready to engage in doing business with you. So
That's right.
super, super important to have the follow-up. Use the technology to your advantage because there's so much of it, which is also very difficult. I mean, my tech stack is, you know, I spend about $10,000 a month on my tech stack right
Wow.
now, you know, and it's growing because I'm trying to make things easier for all of my agents and everybody that works on the insurance team and do better follow-ups. A lot of it is how can we do better up front? How can we do better with the follow-ups? How can we continue to re-engage? Mm-hmm. Because the average person, you know, has 9 insurance policies, right? Between cars, homes, you know, if there's business, if there's life insurance, disability insurance, everything involved. There's so many different things. They call us for one, but eventually we can help them with so many others.
Yeah,
know,
you guys just helped me out with adding mini bikes to my policy.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, there's a huge issue. You have the mini bikes, but there's a huge legislative issue right now with e-bikes in the state of New Jersey because there's proposed legislation that's going to make them required for registration and insurance, which is a whole nother mess because, you know, there's no restriction on anybody riding an e-bike today. And if there's an accident that happens, there's no coverage right now out of your homeowners or your auto. So
Oh, really?
e-bikes are a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
You can buy coverage today in New Jersey, and it's not expensive. I forget the website, but you know, it's not widely available, and most people don't know about it. So I'm like, great. Another thing that we have to worry about as agents is, do you own an e-bike?
Really? I
And
didn't know
who's
that.
riding it? Are you you have an Airbnb and you have e-bikes ready to use for your guests? Then you wind up being on the hook if your guest gets into an accident on the e-bike. Like, oh,
I
it's
didn't
your
know that.
e-bike. I'm
Yeah.
suing you.
So I have an electric scooter that sometimes
Right.
I'd ride back and forth to my house to my office.
That's
It's not. But if I got in an accident with that, I wouldn't be covered on my homeowners.
On the scooter, no.
Really? Why?
On the scooter, no, because it's a motorized vehicle that's not otherwise covered by insurance.
Wow, interesting. But we could add that rider. We'll do that after we leave here because I do take. Can you add it?
The motorbikes are covered, but yeah, the scooter you're not covered on the scooter. Like
But you can add that. You're saying.
I'd have to check on the scooter, but the e-bikes you cannot. You can
Wow.
buy coverage separate for the e-bikes.
I didn't know that.
So I'm not sure about
That's
the
a good point.
scooters.
Yeah, because in Red Bank, I live in Red Bank.
Right.
They're everywhere. On the and the e-bikes are on the sidewalks. They're off the side. They're everywhere. They're not paying attention to anything.
Right. So if you're riding an e-bike on the sidewalk and you hit a pedestrian, the pedestrian's covered by their automobile insurance under their personal injury protection. The guy riding the e-bike then gets sued for hitting the pedestrian. No auto, no homeowners insurance, no liability coverage for that lawsuit.
Wow, I didn't know that.
right? You don't think about it.
No.
You know, and I didn't think about it until we saw the proposed legislation. Like, crap, there's a lot of gaps in what's going on. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there's way too many gaps for us to continue to fill and, you know, try to continue to differentiate. Anyway, Mike Gruosso, thanks so much for hanging out on the
Thank
Who You
you
Work
for
With
having
Matters
me.
podcast. This was a great conversation, and we'll definitely do it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Aaron. I appreciate it.